It was the final, desperate leg of the greatest flight in history. She was within sight of her target, but Amelia Earhart's last radio messages were frantic. Her voice was strained. She was giving coordinates. She was stating her direction. But investigators noticed something impossible. The direction she claimed to be flying did not match the signal they were receiving. Her final words suggest she wasn't flying towards safety at all. One detail in the radio silence changes everything we think we know. Amelia Earhart, the world's most celebrated pilot. In July 1937, she was attempting to circumnavigate the globe at the equator, the most difficult route imaginable. Her navigator was Fred Noonan. Their final 2,556-mile journey was from Lae, New Guinea to Howland Island, a tiny 2-mile-long strip of land in the middle of the Pacific. To guide them, the U.S. Coast Guard cutter Itasca was positioned offshore, ready to act as a floating lighthouse and radio relay. Amelia was close. She was almost there. But in the final 3 hours of that flight, the communications became desperate, confused, and contradictory. And the mystery of her disappearance was locked forever in those final faint transmissions. Earhart was due to arrive at Howland Island shortly after dawn. For hours, her plane, the Electra, had been battling storms and cloud cover. Navigation was entirely reliant on Noonan's celestial readings, which were becoming wildly inaccurate. At 7:42 a.m., the first distress signal reached the Itasca. Earhart sounded strained. She knew she was nearby, but couldn't see the island. The crew on the Itasca tried desperately to send a directional radio beam back, but Earhart's radio receiver was famously flawed. She could hear them, but she couldn't locate their signal accurately. Then, the messages began to grow darker. At 8 a.m., Earhart radioed, "We must be on you, but can't see you. Fuel is running low." A direct, terrifying statement that confirmed they were lost. But here's where everything gets strange. The Itasca was a military vessel. They were tracking her signals with advanced direction-finding equipment. They plotted the bearing of her transmissions, the direction the signals were coming from. Amelia was constantly reporting her position, stating she was flying a north-south line over the island. But the Itasca investigators noticed something impossible. Her signals were consistently tracking east-west. She was not flying parallel to the island, as she reported. She was flying perpendicular to it. This discrepancy suggests two terrifying possibilities. Either her navigator, Noonan, was catastrophically wrong about their location, or Earhart was intentionally giving false coordinates. The final transmission came at 8:43 a.m. Amelia's voice was fading, almost swallowed by static. She gave a final position report, a final bearing, and then silence. The Itasca crew continued to call out to the empty air for hours. They launched search planes immediately, focused on the last plotted position. But the initial search failed to find even a single piece of wreckage, not an oil slick, not a life raft. The plane simply vanished. Completely. What followed would confuse the world for decades. An investigation was launched, concluding that the Electra ran out of fuel and crashed into the deep ocean. But the search of that deep ocean floor, even with modern technology, has yielded nothing. The disappearance was too clean, too sudden, too absolute. And the question remains, if they simply ran out of fuel, why was she flying in the exact opposite direction to the one she was reporting? The official conclusion is simple. Amelia and Fred missed Howland Island, ran out of gas, and ditched the plane in the Pacific. The aircraft, heavy with fuel and instruments, would have sunk instantly into the deep ocean trenches surrounding the island. What's suspicious? The most suspicious element is the sheer absence of debris. Even a clean ditching usually leaves residual wreckage, oil, or seat cushions, especially considering the massive, multi-day search immediately followed. Furthermore, the radio transmissions show that Earhart was in constant communication and highly alert until the moment of silence. If she was simply gliding down to ditch, she would have continued transmitting until impact. The sudden 8:43 a.m. silence suggests an instantaneous catastrophe, something far faster than fuel starvation. This theory, based on compelling forensic evidence, suggests Earhart and Noonan didn't crash in the water at all. They managed to land the plane on a small, uninhabited coral atoll known as Gardner Island, now Nikumaroro, about 350 nautical miles southeast of Howland. The plane was later washed away, but they survived for a time. What's suspicious? Decades ago, remains were found on Nikumaroro, identified at the time as a male. Modern forensic analysis suggests those bones are consistent with the female of Earhart's stature. Furthermore, a 1937 photograph of the island shows a faint, blurred object on the reef edge that looks exactly like the landing gear of an Electra. Why were these findings immediately dismissed by official bodies? If they survived, why did the massive U.S. search miss them? The dark truth is that the U.S. Navy search was instructed to look only near Howland for days, leaving the castaways isolated and beyond the search pattern. They may have died within sight of a rescue that was simply flying too far away. The most unsettling theory posits that the entire flight was a covert intelligence mission for the U.S. government. Earhart was allegedly instructed to fly over Japanese-held territory in the Pacific to photograph military installations. When she deviated, she was shot down or captured by the Japanese military. This theory is fueled by the contradictory radio signals. If Earhart was giving false coordinates to conceal a deviation, either to survey an island or avoid Japanese patrols, it explains the east-west versus north-south discrepancy. The most chilling piece of evidence is the alleged testimony of residents on the Japanese-controlled Saipan, who claim to have seen a white American woman and a man captured shortly after the disappearance. Amelia Earhart and Fred Noonan were not just famous explorers. They were two highly capable assets traveling under the guise of an iconic flight. Was the loss of the Electra not an accident, but a failed mission that the U.S. government covered up for geopolitical security? The most sophisticated underwater searches have now mapped vast areas of the Pacific seabed around Howland Island, finding almost nothing of substance. The official story relies on a clean, complete disappearance into the deep. But the final radio messages, the ones indicating they were flying in the wrong direction and struggling against a growing silence, force us to question the entire narrative. They were professional, they were prepared, they were close. And this leads to the ultimate chilling question. If Amelia Earhart and Fred Noonan managed to survive the ditching, and if the U.S. government was prepared to sacrifice their heroes to protect a mission, are the remains of the greatest mystery in aviation history truly waiting at the bottom of the ocean? Or are they buried in a forgotten grave, far away from where the world was told to look?